You are welcome to today's episode of Family Second ABS Television. My name is Favor Madibu, and the topic for today is divorce and the family. And with me to talk about this topic today is Honorable Uchechukwu Geme Okoli. He's an engineer. You're welcome.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. And also, Sophia Onya, she's a senior program analyst.
Thank you for having me. Hello, viewer.
You're welcome. Please, Uche, can you tell us what divorce is?
Thank you very much. Divorce can be seen in many different perspectives. But divorce, in the sense from my own personal perspective, is an official, formal dissolution, termination, annulment of a marriage between two legally married couple that comes together to form a union of marriage. And that word there, legally married, must emphatically be stressed. Before you can talk of divorce, you first of all make sure there is a marriage, and it's not just having a woman, getting the woman impregnated without even paying a dowry, and you claim you are in a marriage. You must first of all make it legally married. And the divorce itself, you can't wake up and say, please, I want to get divorced. That's why at times if you go to any court of competent jurisdiction, make your case, the magistrate or the chief judge of that court will still insist that you should convince them beyond reasonable doubt why this marriage should be dissolved. And you must have to substantiate your claim. You can't just have a friendly excuse of a slight provocation. You begin to filing for divorce. So that's my own humble submission.
Okay, so Sophia, can you tell us your own view of what divorce is?
Okay, divorce is the act of ending a marriage between two partners who are legally and officially married. And when you talk about divorce, we have different angles of divorce. Divorce doesn't just come verbally, it must be done officially, the same way marriage doesn't happen verbally. Because marriage, when you want to marry, there are some people that are involved in marriage. For people that are doing traditional wedding, you involve the kindred of the man and the kindred of the woman. They will come together and pay a bride price, pay a token that is being called bride price for the woman's head. For a white wedding, you get the clergy involved to join them in holy matrimony. Likewise, for court wedding, you go to court and do the needful. So when you want to divorce a marriage, like when you want to do divorce, you have to go through that process. Divorce has to do with processes, and at the end of the process, when you have finally terminated the marriage, that's when you now say that you are divorced. So when you want to divorce in terms of traditionally, you also have to return back the bride price that was paid. For the church wedding, the white wedding, you can also go to the clergy to officially announce that you are no longer interested in the marriage. For the court wedding as well, the both parties must be involved. It's not something you just do verbally or wake up one day and say, oh, you don't want to marry anymore, and you pack your things and go. No, it has processes that will go through before you can say that you've divorced your husband or your wife.
Okay,
Thank
Sophia.
you.
Yeah, thank you. And I also want to ask you, Sophia, what brings about divorce?
Okay, there are so many things that bring divorce. There are so many. There are plenty. Some are minor. We have major things that brings divorce. We have the major ones are infidelity. Sometimes barrenness can cause divorce. Most times lack of love and intimacy, disrespect, lack of commitment, lack of being responsible for the man in the marriage. There are so many things that causes divorce, but the major one is that infidelity. Infidelity in the sense that a man can be cheating on the wife, or the wife can be cheating on the man. There are some times where you have probably the woman was pregnant before the wedding took place. and the woman will not say that she is pregnant with another man's child. So maybe at the course of the marriage, when they do DNA test, they will find out that, okay, this child doesn't belong to the man. Such a situation can lead to divorce. Then barrenness, in the sense that when you find out that maybe the man cannot father a child or the woman cannot carry children, though we have cases of where we have expectation of miracle happening and all that, but barrenness can lead to divorce. Lack of love, then being away for a long time, being absent, like some men will marry a woman here in Nigeria, leave her and travel abroad, maybe marrying a white woman there, having family there, staying there for like 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and you expect that woman to just stay and be waiting for you. Such case, you will see the woman filing for divorce, that she is no longer interested in that marriage. Lack of love, lack of intimacy. Some men, they will not be touching their wives, claiming to be busy. Some women too, they will not submit themselves to their husband. Or maybe when they have small quarrel, they'll start saying, oh, you will not touch me, I don't want you to disturb me and all that. The Bible made us to understand that marriage, the basic thing for marriage is that intimacy. So when you now go against that major purpose for marriage, it can lead to divorce. We have so many of them. Well, I will stop here.
Okay. Uche, this issue of what brings about divorce, what do you have to say on that?
Thank you, presenter. Issue that leads to divorce. My colleague here have done one or two these things, but to add to that, lack of commitment. A man marrying a wife will not assume the responsibility of the family. You see a man and be saying that I'm the a man's supposed to assume the responsibility. A man's supposed to be on top of the family,
yes,
to showcase that I am the father, I am the man of this house. You see a woman will be running helter-skelter. To some extent, at times, they will even be selling their jewelry there to make sure there is a placing in food on the table, not just for the children, or equally the man himself. There are some of them that will become hooligan, drink, do everything. You will be coming back home dangling, my mother, where are you? Why didn't you have food here? Upon eating that food, you will still be turning that same woman as a punching bag. In such a situation, the commitment is not there.
Yes.
The responsibility is not there. And this time around, it's no longer like in olden days of our fathers, that women are very submissive enough, that women still believe that, my husband, even when the man is beating the leg, we will say, I didn't want to take it easy so that you will not injure your hand. But now, years of these days, we no longer get it tolerated. That's point number one. Undue influence from the friends, bad advisors. Bible made it for us to understand that a man will leave the parents, the woman as well. The two will come together, join and become one, and they wouldn't be seeking some evil advice from people. So that's another one. And you have to equally talk about compatibility issue. There are some people that say they are married today, my dear. When you look at it, what they are doing is manage, not marriage. Capitalist choice. And when a man and woman are just trying to manage themselves, automatically a house that is not well built on a solid foundation is definitely bound to collapse. All these things are coming. Am I to talk about the too young in marriage? There are some people that are too, as in they've not even know what marriage is all about. Their responsibility, obligation to contribute, because marriage is something that is you build gradually and you see it growing. But all these things are nice. If it's not there, they are bound to be having such an issue. So basically, that's my own little humble submission to that.
Okay, you really made a point on the issue that has to do with battery.
Physical abuse.
Yes, either the husband beating the wife or because at times there are women that are strong, they beat their husbands.
Yes.
So this issue of this issue of battery is not only for it's just that it's more common, when it comes to the female, receiving it.
Yes.
But female to do beat their husbands. wives, they do. Some of them are strong, they beat their husbands. So the issue of drinking, going on drugs, I know husbands, that they drink, they go on drugs. And when they drink, they go on drugs, and they come back, they start beating their wives.
Yes.
This is something that is really abnormal when it comes to marriage. Is a very big form of, how will I put it, that leads to divorce.
Yes.
Because this issue of battery has killed so many women in their husband's house.
Yes.
You understand? And people always advise, if you are in an abusive relationship whereby you are being beaten as a woman, you are supposed to leave that marriage, so that you don't leave, like your corpse leaving that house. Because so many women, when this thing happens, you see on social media, they will not start saying, you have left.
Yeah.
You have left when you notice your husband was beating you, or when you notice he's abusive, he's on drugs, he drinks and all those things. You understand? So at the end of the day, when the man beats the woman to death, people will start blaming. You understand? Blaming the woman. So this issue of battery, that is mostly on the male side, let me say the male are the one, beating, it brings about divorce. A woman should not wait for you to go so far. You understand? Please, sir, I want you to emphasize more on this issue, because you're a man. You understand the issue? Because this thing is going on so much in our homes now. It's getting too rampant, this issue of battery. You understand? If a marriage comes to that extent that a husband beats you, I want to emphasize, let us tell our parent, our viewer, that this is where the line should be drawn. And not the issue of, forgive me, and the thing is still going on. Please, can you emphasize more on that?
Yes, to learn more credence and emphasis on that, I will say that even when a man and a woman is being pronounced to be husband and wife in the altar, they will say that I do take you as my lawful wedded husband until death do us apart. This is from the church perspective aspect of it. But when you look at it on daily basis, you'll be receiving that. Sorry, I'm not trying to, but I want to drive more home. Maybe trying to do a little illustration of that. I happen to come from the background of a polygamous family, a very well reputable, known one, from a royal family and a big family. And my father was a famous man when he was alive. He married many of them. And this beating is always there. And you dare not challenge his authority when he talks. That's what I say, men of those days. And when he talks, his word becomes authority, and find out who are you to contribute when he's saying. And at a stage, some or few of the wives have to quit the marriage at the heat of it. Because if he want to beat you, he wouldn't look at the back to do it. It takes the tenacity and the virtuousness of some of the few of them, including my mother, who look at the children and say, I won't leave. But as of the way things are going now, take for instance the case of Osinachi, the late Osinachi, the singer, as a point of study. That lady was receiving it on daily basis, and she was dying in pain. He wasn't even expressing it out for people to know what she's passing through. Instead, when you see her on the stage entertaining people, trying to make people happy, you wouldn't know the level of agony this woman was going through until the point of death. So any marriage that got to that point of life-threatening situation, it is better that possibly consult the marriage guidance and counseling. They will counsel. They might even look at it and advise properly. Two of you needs to go on separation for some time, maybe to study and come back. And when they see that even option of separation is not there, at that point, it is good. Because it's a living that goes into marriage. If you are dead, the marriage is dead. Thank you very much.
Okay. Also, I want to ask you, Uche, do you think in the face of divorce, do you think the children should be considered before considering or going into divorce by the parents? Yes.
Very, very critical. Yes. Children are the heritage from God. It is God given. And the whatever you are talking about, in fact, the product of marriage is to have children. That is the major aspect of purpose of God bringing man and woman together, Adam and Eve, and there is for procreation, to have children, and that's the main purpose. So I have to say that they should be the first thing to place into consideration before going into divorce. Because when you look at it, if you divorce and leave those children, you are leaving them at the mercy of a kind of psychological trauma. In fact, most of the 70% of the societal problems and menace we are having today, all these hooliganism, restiveness, prostitution, robbery, kidnapping, and everything, trace it back to the origin. You see that most of people engaging or involving themselves into these are more of the product of single parenthood issue, parenting, because you can imagine when two are trying to counsel them, guide them, and everything. But when such a divorce happens, what it will mean is that those children might end up on the street, and you know the dire consequences and implications. And I think that is what we are suffering today. And I still use my own case. Sorry, but I have to do it in order to drive home and substantiate what I'm saying.
Yes.
If during our own my mother and my father, then if he has decided to say, I abandon you people and leave, my dear, at the stage and level of attainment in life today, I may not have attended it. So to some extent, it is good you place more emphasis and consideration on the children before doing that. And like I emphatically said before, it is good that when you now talk about that divorce, it will be at a life-threatening situation where every other option has been exhausted. If not, at times as a woman, there is a point it will reach in the marriage. You won't be seeing the man, basically, is your husband, but right inside you, people you are seeing as your husband are those kids. That's where you'll be placing your trust. Tomorrow, these kids will grow up, and when they grow up, they will begin to marry me. The product of that fruitfulness and everything, I think that's what my mom is enjoying today from this person's house to another person's house, and that enjoyment is there.
Yes.
So it will be the last man resort, last man standing, when every other option has been explored and exhausted. Then, thank you.
Okay, Sophia, anything you can just chip in concerning this issue now?
Okay, like he said, it is important for the couple to strive to still be in the marriage because it will affect the children. There are so many ways you can as well try to make your marriage work. You can go for counseling, you can spend quality time. You can also accept that your partner is a human being, because most people, they will want you to be perfect. Meanwhile, they are not perfect. They will be expecting a lot from you, and they are not even giving half of what they are expecting from you. And most times, some people, they always be like, see Mr. and Mrs. A, their marriage is working well. Meanwhile, you that is comparing your marriage to Mr. and Mrs. A's marriage, if that Mr. A is marrying you as a woman, the marriage will not still work. So it has, like they normally say, it takes two to tango. So the marriage has to work when two of you have agreed that, okay, because of these children, we have to manage and strive and be in this marriage. So you can do that by going for counseling. It will help in making the relationship to come back. And also try not to let the love wax cold, because once the love wax cold, you see that they are just there for being sake. So you have to always water that relationship. Relationship is more about, it's like a garden. If you don't water it, if you don't add fertilizer, if you don't weed it, it will die off. So you need to water it, you need to care for it. And the two parties have to agree. There must be this agreement that, okay, we want this thing to work because of these children. We want to work towards this marriage so that will be able to raise these children in a good home. Because no matter what happens, once there is divorce, it will affect the children directly or indirectly. So I think, first of all, going for counseling. If you people are having so much challenge and you think that your marriage will hit the rock, try going for counseling. Try spending quality time. In spending quality time, you will find out that, okay, this is the thing you don't like, or this is the thing this man doesn't like. You try to work towards the marriage working. Unless, just like he has stressed, it is life-threatening. That's the only time you can quit. And also, if it has to do with maybe mental health being at stake, because if you're not mentally stable, you cannot raise the kids. You cannot even be in that marriage. So unless the mental health is at stake, and then just like he also added that you have to be sure that the marriage will work when two of you are alive. If one of the parties is not alive, then there's no marriage. So in terms of being mentally unstable and in terms of having life-threatening issue, you have to quit the marriage. Thank you.
Okay. We'll be right back. Please don't go anywhere. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Family Circle on ABS Television, and the topic for today is divorce and the family. Sophia, if you can tell us under what will I say option, or what are the only options that we can say, okay, this is under this option or options, let there be a divorce.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, like I said before, is when it is life-threatening, like there is cases of physical abuse and probably there have been counseling and it's still happening. Maybe the man is still beating the wife or the wife is still beating the man. When you've done all those spending of quality time, counseling, and probably is not working, I think the marriage should quit. The couple should go for divorce. And also when mental health is at stake, because if you're not mentally stable, believe me, you are not going to raise good children and you're not going to be in a good marriage. So when these two things are there, and also when we have repeated case of infidelity. Infidelity is when you are cheating on your spouse. It can happen probably by mistake, like some people used to claim, oh, it happened by mistake. And if that your partner happens to forgive you, and you still go back again to do it again and again, that means that marriage cannot work, because the Bible is even against it, that you should be faithful to your partner. So when you have infidelity in that marriage, I think they should call it a quit, because you are no longer satisfied with one person. You want to be jumping from A to B. So you just let that person go, free that person, let that person be free. As if he or she is single, you cannot continue with your promiscuity. But apart from infidelity, life-threatening, mental health being at stake, I think every other thing you can always have a way of managing it, or maybe trying to work it out so that marriage could, because divorce is not really a good thing. Thank you.
Okay.
Additionally,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, additionally, everything that happens in this life happens as act of God, the way God wants it. And whenever you now move and take what does not belong to you, it might last, but after some time, everything will unfold. And when it unfolds, the end, the destructive end, is the means that is bringing it abruptly and final. Because this thing now, like our young, is more rampant on our young girls of nowadays, and they need to be counseled. They need to tell the dire consequences and the implication of that. This issue of okay, you go and take what does not belong to you, it wouldn't last. And in a situation like that, God is aware of it. It might happen at the beginning, but the end justify the means. The Bible says no bolom bido. So you see, girls these days, when they look at a man, possibly that is the specification of a man she has been dreaming to marry. But first of all, you must have to ask yourself, is this man actually meant for me as a husband? But you now move on to say by fire, by force, whatever it will take, aga koyako. Before you know it, she will start moving. Okite. And then okite, see all those things. My sister, that thing has an implication. When you're now trying to, is a marriage incompatibility, bringing people that are not compatible enough by a kind of fetish means and everything. The man might be blindfolded and propose, do everything, and that mansion that you want to answer the wife of honorable, you want your husband to be the one that goes out in VDCs and travel across the globe and everything. Yes, but is that man your husband? If you eventually go and marry such a man, it will take time. When it broke, the whole thing will, the man will regain himself. No amount of counseling can stop it.
Yes.
No amount of fasting and prayer can stop it. It is ordained, naturally ordained by God. And there's at that point, Uchechukwu emego, and Uchechukwu me, Iburu go down from now till infinitum, or from now till Jesus Christ comes down. My dear, you are holding on to somebody's something, and once the appointed time and reach, the whole thing will break. So that one, at that point, there is no marriage counseling, there is no advice. You call all the men of God in the whole world to come and pray. It won't work. God is a God of justice who answers prayer of his people in a righteous way.
So you are advising our ladies or men that use this fetish way to get a woman into marriage or get a man into marriage, that when the time comes, that surely such thing will fail.
Yes.
So when the time comes and it fails, the only option is for everybody to break away, because there will be a hatred either from the man's side that they using that the woman is holding, or the woman's side the man is holding.
The marriage was built on false foundation.
Yes. So because of that, the marriage will be broken. Definitely. So Sophia, can you tell us what can be done to curtail divorce?
Okay, thank you so much. There are so many things that can be done to curtail divorce. Like, there are so many things that can be done to curtail divorce. Commitment. Be responsible. If you're a man, the Bible said that the man that cannot take care of his home is worse than an infidel. So you have to be responsible as a man. Even if the economy is bad, you have to try and provide for your family, take care of your children, know your love language. Don't marry out of sentiment. Don't jump into marriage. And always marry for the right reasons. Don't marry in the wrong foundation. Try to know your partner. Always look good. For women, always try to look good. And for men, to try to look good. Try to smell good, because these are the things that contribute to love being in the marriage. And when the love was good, there's nothing you two are doing. Always pray. Prayer is the master key. In a marriage, try to pray all the time so that your love will not wax cold, so you will not have temptations from outside. Try to always listen to your partner, communicate, but don't dominate.
Okay.
Try to always know that your partner is also a human being.
Yeah.
Try to respect your partner. Try to love your partner. Try to be submissive. Try to respect in the sense that the man will respect the woman and the woman will also respect the man, because it's a two-way thing. Thank you.
Okay. We have come to the end of today's episode of Family Circle. Thank you, my viewer, for being a part of this program. And to my guest, Uche.
Really wonderful. Very good presenter. It's a pleasure being with you, and even call next time. I will endeavor to attend.
Okay, Sophia.
Thank you for having me, and I enjoyed discussing this topic. Thank you so much.
Okay. Join us same time next week for another edition of Family Circle. Thank you, goodbye, and God bless.